Get started. I really wanted to make today a planning event. I wanted to go over a couple of things that I thought were important. Is everybody able to hear me? Because some of you are frozen.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I wanted to make today a planning meeting. It's not our typical meeting, of course. There's not like a guest speaker. This is very much involved in what you guys are wanting to do with this year and how we can make the Reentry Council a productive a productive thing in our community, and how we can initiate change. And we can't solve the problem, but at least work with helping come up with some solutions, or just contribute to a solution in general. So I wanted to brainstorm and just plan today, get your ideas, see what you think about certain things. And if there's things that I haven't thought of, like, please, let's talk about them. And let's try to make this a little bit different than it has been for the last couple of months. I would love to start off the year with this brainstorming planning meeting and then kind of go from there. So I thought about a Facebook page for our Eastern Panhandle area. Does anyone have any thoughts on that, specifically for the Reentry Council? And maybe we can share different resources, we can share different ideas that we're doing, we can keep people updated, and so that might be able to advertise a little bit more about what we do and how we're being involved. Is that something that you think would be useful?
Let me talk to Bev about that to make sure we can do an offshoot of one. You know, we already have the main Facebook page. That is it was started under the West Virginia Council of Churches. And so I'm an administrator. Almost everybody at the Reach is an administrator for it. And I'm always happy to post things there, but let me talk to Bev first to make sure it doesn't muddy the waters. I don't know if that's the right word. I want the right way.
Okay.
So if we keep everything more concentrated, or if it's okay to dilute it out to have individual Facebook pages. But
okay.
I
Awesome.
will drop the main one there into the chat too. And like I said, you know, I'm always happy to post anything, you know, from this council, any council out there on those. And then that also can go to our Instagram and our Twitter pages as well.
Oh, that brings up a really good point, because I don't have the only social media that I have is Facebook. And so that would make sense if I kind of would need someone to man the Twitter and, you know, the Instagram pages. So if that was a thing that ever came up. So
that's what I get paid to do. So
okay, so that's perfect. So in the event that would be something that we could do, we'll kind of revisit that later. But I do think that Facebook is very effective in getting a lot of our resources, and that's what made me think of that. Other than that, would anyone does that also go into like an email list of people that have signed on to this meeting as well?
Okay, sorry, just dropped the Facebook page in the chat. So yes and no.
Okay.
What happens, and I will drop something else over in the chat as well, is that this is part of a listserv. So people have to actually register to be a part of their listserv in order to receive the invitations. You can forward those invitations out, absolutely. But as far as when we send out email blasts, it only goes to the people that are registered on that listserv. So I will put the link for how they register, and then also a flyer that I created with a QR code.
Okay. So maybe that's something that we can just talk about if the Facebook page isn't something that we can do. Just a way to, for us folks that are in this meeting now and for the future, whoever would like to be and have up-to-date kind of information, or maybe share information about a different resource or how this could be used, or maybe someone has a thought about a project coming up. Those type of things would be really great for us to be able to communicate within the month. So that was my thought there, but we can revisit that. The second thing I really wanted to talk about is a community project. And so grateful that you're here, Trisha, so you can talk a little bit about the grant process. I've spoke with someone from the Rotary, and I'm going to a meeting with them and trying to see maybe if that's something that we can do. But would you mind talking a little bit about the grant process and what that involves and what you've done in the past with the grant?
Sure. And then before Christmas, I had sent you and Nan both an email with, I think it was the United Way.
Yes.
It was starting to open. So if you're interested in that, just let me know.
Okay.
So I've written several different grants for different things. The biggest one being the duffel bag project. So we have a program with, the name just went out of my, like, corrections industries. So inmates at St. Mary's, so a duffel bag. And I always say, you can probably fit 2 toddlers in it. It's a large duffel bag that can be carried as a duffel bag or as a backpack. It's weather resistant, not weatherproof. But it's something more than a Walmart bag that's going to bust open. It's something that, you have dignity because you have this beautiful duffel bag. And then I've written Palatine of Huntington. I've written Sisters Health in Parkersburg. I did Mason and Jackson, but it was denied for both of those. But if there's a foundation that I can write a grant for and copy and paste it pretty much because I've written them, several times. I then purchase things from Amazon, Dollar Tree, Walmart, wherever it is. I do full size hygiene products because you're going to want something long lasting. We're not traveling on an airplane, so we don't need micro sizes. We don't need convenience. We need long lasting supplies. Shampoo, body wash, Q-tips are like the biggest thing. Everybody wants Q-tips. Kleenexes, can openers, the weather Mylar blankets. I don't know that we've ever approached Procter & Gamble, Nan. There's some other ones that I have tried. If you've got that, send it to me for sure. I will definitely look at it and get that filled out. I've done Big Lots. I've done Simply Truth. I've done a couple of other ones to get non-perishable food products. So, but I just pack those full of things and work with probation and parole offices, day report centers, things like that. So people in reentry, as they're coming out, they have a start because all of these things cost money. As they're going to homes, they need all of those things, and so it's something that they can own. And hygiene just makes you feel better about yourself too. So Nicole's like, you saw the plethora of how many we had last year at the reentry conference. So getting them filled. The one I did for Parkersburg not too long ago, I think we had $3,200, and I was able to purchase enough 75 bags and all of the stuff that goes inside of them. Obviously, depending on, that's flexible. Do we want to include non-perishable food? Do we not want to include that? Do we want to scale back on some of the items? Do they necessarily need the nail clippers or the can opener? Things like that, so it's totally flexible about what the resources in your area is. Parkersburg had food banks and food supplies, so they didn't need the non-perishable food items. So I was able to supplement that. We have a group here in the Huntington and Charleston area. They have little ladies that love to knit, and so they make hats and scarves and mittens, and so we stuff those in those duffel bags there. So that's something we don't have to, we don't have to purchase. So just knowing what your community has out there is amazing. So,
and how I would love to get our reentry members involved in that process. So how in the past have you been able to kind of involve others in that?
Just, like Ayla mentioned, working with 4-H programs. I volunteer with a youth leadership program, and they have to do a community service project every year. Normally, they do stuff for the homeless or the family resource centers or whatever. But this year I started saying, hey, here's a whole nother population that you guys don't even know exists. Let's consider doing stuff for them. So, working with the schools, even the family resource networks, just anything like that, see if they'll let you put up a donation drive box, at Dollar General or whoever. And then as far as the council, to do the packing party, and that's what I call it, packing party.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the hard work. So to get everybody together, when I ordered, I have it all shipped directly to you, and then you get a space. And we set up a giant assembly line. And I did this with my girls' events, that you pass the duffel bag, not the items. Somebody has a station for each item, and then you just pass the duffel bag down and stuff your item into that.
Yeah.
And then, invite probation and parole, day report center, whoever it is, to come have them pick it up. And then, the only caveat is that, whoever receives it has to fill out the form so that they can be connected with one of our navigators, so that they know that resource is available to them for the next year. So.
Can you guys that are on this meeting, if you are a navigator, would you mind doing like a little icon? It doesn't matter what icon, but I'm just curious to see who is a navigator.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I see anybody else on here.
I for some reason, like my screen is frozen. So Trisha, can you see the icon? Because I can't see anything.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see any. It's mostly community partners on today.
Okay.
What about
and
Megan?
then
Megan is this?
Oh, that's in the and I'm curious if there is anyone who isn't a navigator who would be interested in being a navigator. And do you mind explaining a little bit what that means?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our navigators are someone with lived experience, that as they come out, you walk in and hand with somebody just to help them. Do they need their identifications? Do they need employment? Do they need education? And I don't want to say it's a sponsor or a PRSS, but it's very similar, that you've had to navigate those barriers already. And you've successfully navigated those barriers. How can you help somebody else avoid those pitfalls and jump through all of those hoops? I mean, you're still gonna have to jump through hoops, but maybe a shortcut to jump through those hoops. And then connect them to everybody that's already on this meeting, that these are your resources,
Mm-hmm.
If you need employment, connect them with Phil Michael there. If you need, faith basics and other training, Nicole's there for that. So, all of these people are here to be those resources to connect people to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a gentleman who was just recently released from being incarcerated, and he's like starting over. He's looking for a job. He's come up to me. He actually wants to take domestic violence classes. He knows that he needs them, so I've got him involved with domestic violence over on Wilson Street. But jobs in this area for individuals who have a background, even though they say they hire them, they still sometimes won't hire them. And it's hard for them when they get out, because this gentleman really wants to have a fresh start. He said, I'm tired, I'm getting older, and it's time I get my life together. So what do we do with this case,
And honestly, it's hard. West Virginia is an at-will state. We just talked about this yesterday in our staff meeting, that one of our navigators had someone who had been in this job for a year or two, but management change came in and said, oh, you've been incarcerated. You're now terminated. You no longer have this job.
Wow.
How can we fight for this, though? Like, what do we need to do? As I know, we're a very little committee, but what do we need to do for the state of West Virginia to help individuals? Because I feel like that's our biggest tie-up for individuals who's been incarcerated, they can't get jobs. How are you expecting them not to be homeless? How are you expecting them not to come out and do other crimes because they're trying to survive? Like, I don't understand what the
And
government
it
don't
even
see
starts
this. Like,
before that, because they're coming out and they have no identification.
yes,
How do you get a job? How do you get a home without any?
absolutely.
So it starts
Like,
even way before the trying to find the job. It's trying to prove who you actually are.
yeah.
So, Recovery Day at the Capitol will be, I don't know if anybody knows, and then reentry days, all of those things at the Capitol are going to be happening within January and early February. And then anytime we see something coming through legislature, I try and send out an email blast. So watch that constant contact from me. And I don't have a concept. I mean, I have an idea, but I have not seen it. But sometimes a bill is introduced and you have maybe one day or even less than one day to contact your legislator to get that pushed through. So session doesn't start till February. Okay. But Aaron and I'm trying to think of Rich, you guys are always at the Capitol. So as you have dates, please, share them with
Yes, yes.
If we can ride together, I'll ride. I'll help pay gas. I mean, we'll do whatever. Like, something needs to be done. Somebody needs to be heard.
And I do want this to be very involved with our community members as well. Mr. Simmons, do you mind talking a little bit about your message here and explaining like what your vision is on that? If you're able to.
Sometimes his mic doesn't work. Does your mic work?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
It's
we'll just read over that, but I think this is concerning Maryland.
It's in Cumberland, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is great. If you could give us a little bit. Okay. Resources together.
If we're able to come to you and do, a resource fair or
yeah,
reentry, we went to Alderson in December. We're supposed to go to FCI Berkeley to do the reentry simulations. So, if we're able to come to you to do that reentry simulation, and we can make that maybe a stipulation that we start putting on the vendors that if you're setting up a resource table, then, let's try and collect hygiene items or non-perishable food items.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
And that would be so great. And Aaron, I would love, and I think you said Rich or Richard, I would love for you all to kind of talk to us a little bit more, whenever and maybe this is something you come on as a guest and we talk about, okay, this is the upcoming legislative month, or so I personally wish I knew more about our legislative branch and how that works and what's going on. So I would love to learn more about that. And so if that's something that you can share, Aaron, do you have any input, like kind of off the cuff at all?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but when it comes to the legislature, similar to why I asked a question if we're going to keep up like the email thread, because we got to put some boundaries in. So I don't have social media, surely not for work. And then also when it comes to legislative session, you can drive yourself crazy in 60 days easily. And especially being here in the Eastern Panhandle, because we don't have just a quick stop in when something's happening. We don't have that here because it's 600-mile round trip. But after an election, even if an incumbent wins, the session is delayed, the 60-day session. So that's why it'll run through April this year. Mm-hmm. And so building up that kind of calendar, but inauguration, obviously the 13th. And then there's a lot that's still unknown in terms of who's being appointed, who's taking up what roles, what that administration is going to look like, which obviously dictate a lot of what's happening. So like everybody, we're just following what we can. And then West Virginia Public Broadcasting can put out like a legislature today. If anybody ever wanted to spend 30 minutes at the end of every day, they kind of give a good snapshot for that. I have an interest in this because I am a line item in the budget, and a lot of folks here, legislation affects their jobs, not only their own employment, but the work that they do, how it's funded, all that kind of stuff. So there's a widespread interest in this. But right now there's just, with a changeover in administration, I think too many unknowns to really see when we don't even know who's doing what jobs yet.
Okay.
So.
Do you have any recommendations for someone like me that doesn't know a lot about what's going on government wise, or how to even get involved? How can I make a difference? Like, what can I do? Stuff like that. Do you have any recommendations for someone like me that can start, maybe like a small starting point? Like, what would you recommend?
So I'll answer this just for everybody in terms of, and especially people that we work with. One is Secretary of State's office has put out like a Vellon voting rights pamphlet that has updated legislation. And I can put that link in here so that there's that to make sure that people that can vote know that they can. Then obviously check to see if you are registered to vote, what your districts are and precincts, so that you know who your representatives are. I think is always a good first start. And then in terms of like West Virginia newsroom, it's most people have like the legislative beat, and you can follow those folks, subscribe to any paper that you have. Like I said, the legislature today has like a podcast that comes out every day, where you can follow different things like that. And then also sometimes you find like it can get overwhelming. So you kind of like just follow like one or two folks. Mine sometimes are the people that introduce like the nonsense that'll kind of never see the day. But then we can just kind of see a pulse of what's happening, what's moving. But even folks that are like working for like any of the legislators, like on the Hill, like they're finding stuff out at the same time we all are too. It can be madness, but if I know you're interested in that, I'd be happy to forward you things as I kind of come across them. Stuff that you might be able to subscribe to if you're interested, or any of that kind of thing. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much. Sabrina brings up a good point. Sabrina, do you mind coming on and talking about your comment here?
It's really difficult. Lobbying and advocating look almost identical. They're two different words. So there's a thin line between it. Most of your employers, if we're employed by nonprofits, they have a policy against lobbying because nonprofits are not allowed to lobby. That means like you as a person can send your congressman a letter or send your legislative person a letter with your name on it with nothing related to your employer, but you cannot talk about your, so the reentry council, you couldn't sign it like the reentry council, but Chelsea Garcia can, absolutely reach out and advocate on behalf of this, this policy that she wants to change or something like that. So I'm not able to explain it because it's very complicated, but that's like the basic, that is the easiest way, I think, the way I just said it. So,
okay.
Well, thank you, because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I appreciate
I only know because
that.
Telemon, they were very, very strict on it was very, very strict on lobbying. So I don't know. That's the only reason I know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Missa, do you mind sharing a little bit about who you are and where you're coming from? I think we could really learn a lot from you. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I was just finishing a last note in the chat, but I'm Melissa Eberling, and I'm with a Warrior Within Us and Virginia Justice Alliance, the Solitary Confinement Coalition, several others. And I do a little bit about everything. I've been advocating since the 80s as a junior advocate, and I do a lot with awareness, empowerment, and then specific client advocacy as well. Mental health is my main focus, neurodivergency, and human rights of all that. I do a lot of ADA violations. And I think that's kind of me in a nutshell. Yeah.
And so you were talking about unions, and I would never have thought about that. So I appreciate you bringing up that point. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother's worked for the union, the IATSE stagehand union out of DC, for a couple decades now, and he's also a felon. And he's the one that actually brought it up to me. He's like, we always hire felons, and so does the carpentry union as well as the electricians union. And then once you're registered, and I know a lot of them are based in Maryland or DC. But once you're registered, that person can call in wherever they are in the country and say, okay, here I am. This is where I'm at. Here's how long I'm going to be available. And you can get work wherever you are. And of course, excellent benefits, way more than a living wage as well. And oftentimes no experience necessary, or they'll have
Thank
like an
you.
apprenticeship program.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Does anyone in West Virginia know about, I'm not extremely familiar about unions, to be honest. And so does anyone have information on the union, and is that state? How does that work?
They're usually divided up by industry. So you're
Okay.
gonna have a carpenters union, electricians union, things like that. And they have different headquarters. Some of them may be a division. So, you know, where I'm at, it's Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. West Virginia, I can't remember, where they're coupled with. So it may be a statewide thing. But to kind of piggyback on what she was just saying, I want to bring in my higher education background. Work with your trade schools, your community and technical colleges. If they have a welding program, an electrician program, a diesel mechanics, an auto mechanics program, work with those division chairs, because a lot of time they're going to have an advisory board, and that advisory board is made up of people that are hiring, people in those industries. So connect with them, see if you can become a part of their advisory board to be able to connect your clients with work coming out. So, and they're going to know. That was one of my biggest things, is I always wanted to know enough about my students that not to be intrusive, but I'm going to help you. I'm not going to send you to schools to something that your background is going to prohibit you from working in. So,
Okay.
Knowing ahead of time what somebody can go to school for to eventually get a job, that's an amazing thing to think about too.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. There's a lot that I don't know, so I'm so grateful to learn from each of you and know more about what we can do and how we can help our folks that are needing us most. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm almost asking, like, this is kind of a vote situation, and if I can't see anything, so if Trisha, if you can keep an eye on this, are we on board with doing the community project with the duffel bag project and possibly having a packing party to get the council together? And if you could just throw up an emoji or something, a reaction.
It's going to depend on who your local people are. So Nanette, Angie, they both say yes.
Okay.
So can we do it for each individual, like each district? I mean, like, is that possible to do it for each district? Is there some districts that have more than others?
Define district. What do you mean?
As far as how we're divided, like over here, like with our 3 counties, like there's no way we're going to go to the other side of the world and
Right. No, this would be specifically
there.
Your 3 counties. Yeah. So
Yeah,
your 3 counties.
we have ERJ, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So could we work with our 3 counties and work with our committee here, and start making them?
Yeah.
And are they only for individuals who's getting out? Like, what do we do? Like, I sent you the link for that one thing. That's phenomenal. Chelsea, I'm telling you, if you need it done, Chelsea's going to get it done for you. She's a blessing to me, and I feel to everyone, because she's out here. She's the one who gave me that website for those. So, if we can get donations, I know if we can write Nike, and I think Reebok, they give away blankets. We can start, looking into them and seeing what they could do for us for blankets. And Jersey, if we get the grant, if you write to Jersey, they'll give us a discount on getting the sweatpants and the sweatshirts. We did it at the hospital.
Mhm.
You know, they give us a discount to buy them. So I don't know how you do with your grants, if you do just only donations. Like
So-
how do you get the donations for the duffel bags?
We do those by your reentry council region. So, because, and that's the thing, you know, so if we do things like Walmart or if we do T-Mobile or things like that, it's all going to be under the same tax ID number. So it's harder to do those because then, you know, if I do it here in Martinsburg, it may knock out Parkersburg because Walmart's only going to give one grant, you know, so, it's hard for some of those things. That's why I look more at the local foundations.
Okay.
To keep it local because they're going to make sure it stays in your geographic region.
Okay. So we could just put like, you know, like, do you have a letter that we could hand out, you know, like to take to the different organizations and different
No,
stores, you know, and stuff like that? Like something to ask, you know, just what they could do.
I don't, but I can draft up something for sure. Yeah.
Okay. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be nice, especially like Gabe's. You know, like Gabe's has so much stuff
Yeah.
that they just,
Yeah.
you know, and I think Dollar General, you know, Big Lots is going out of sale. You know, what can Big Lots do for us?
Yeah. I had applied to Big Lots several times and no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this something that's specifically for people getting out of incarceration, or do you do these also for people getting out of like programs like rehabilitation services, things like that?
Because we are a reentry council, not necessarily recovery council, we try to do just reentry. Because not every, you know, we always like to say, you know, not everybody in recovery, not everyone in reentry is in recovery, but everybody in recovery is in reentry.
So what about if we have some, and this is what I was talking to Chelsea about, like we have somebody who's like, not a frequent flyer, but somebody who does like, you know, goes in every other month, you know, like how, like, are they limited to one bag, you know, because if we think about it, we start giving them a bag every time they are getting discharged or just, you know, released.
Yeah.
It starts, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and you can do that however you feel, you know, if you know that somebody is, because unfortunately we're going to have the ones that, you know, you've got your table set up and I'm going to take all of the pens, even though I know I'm not going to use all of those ink pens. You know, we do have those people that do that. And, you know, so you can, make that decision however is best.
Yeah.
I
I know,
the
and I'm going to
important
talk
part.
to, I work at the casino down in Charlestown, you know, and they have like a lot of hand sanitizers that
Yeah.
they have, like the spray hand sanitizers, and things like that. I'm going to see if they'll come on and, you know, join us and maybe they
Absolutely.
can give us those. I love our hand sanitizers. They're
Yeah.
like little squirt bottles. I took them on my cruise with me.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in some of the places, you know, if you've had a logo change and they can't use anything anymore, you know, I work part-time for Kentucky Adult Education. Our logo just changed, so we can't give out to new students anything with the old logo on it. It's got to go somewhere. So,
Right. Yeah. Same with, yeah, they've got a lot of t-shirts up in the attic, you know, that they don't have. So if you get a letter together for me and, you know, I can definitely give it to them and see what they can help us with. Because I know they work with Jefferson County a lot, but, you know, they got to realize Berkeley is up here too.
Right.
Yeah.
Angie, you bring up a good point that individuals still need to have things when they come in and out. And I 100% agree with you. And Trisha, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the basis, the most important part of this project is going to be pairing or filling out the form for the reentry navigator. Is that kind of like, yes, all these essential things are great, but to have that mentor type navigator kind of walk alongside you is really the incentive of this program.
Yes, absolutely is, you know, that, you know, we're giving you something, but, you know, we need something back in return. And that's for you to walk with us so that we can help you be more successful so you don't recidivate. So yeah, that absolutely, Chelsea.
And would you say, Angie brings up another good point, that they have to request the ID. So at this point, are we meeting them before release, in your experience, so that we can have these type of conversations with them? And then once they're out, you know, maybe we can help with resources and getting them in places. But in the past, has this worked as you're meeting them before release?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So Here's the problem. All of our navigators have lived experience. They may not be allowed back into a facility. So depending on where they serve their time, they may not be allowed back in that facility or another facility. So sometimes our navigators can't go back in. So what we do have though, for those that are, and I'm trying to find it here, I'll do it in just a second. I'm multitasking. So we are on the tablets in all of the facilities. So as long as someone has money on the tablet and they want to talk and connect with the navigator, they can reach out to us through the tablet. It sends me an email and then I connect them with one of our paid navigators. So because we have the Appalachian Regional Commission right now, we have paid navigators, and that's who we're assigning those to, are those ones that are coming through the apps or through the Getting Out app. And then, we're able to text back and forth with them. That's on, the reach as the employees. We are able to utilize our money and our funding to do that texting service with them. So,
and is that free if they're texting you, as in like a community resource, or how? Angie brings up another point about not having funds for the tablets.
It's 15 cents for the texts, both, sending and, each time someone sends it, it's 15 cents. So they have money on their books too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What,
flyer here.
Okay. So, and maybe, if anyone is interested, maybe there's a point where we can go to the jail and maybe have a conversation with, someone at the jail that says, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I would, can we use your services? Even if it's just coming up with a flyer and having yes, I'm getting out, I need services and I need help. And then maybe there's like a pen pal situation. I don't know. So we can definitely talk about that.
There you go. There's.
Okay. Okay, great.
Well, I mean, they do have counselors in jail.
Okay.
But you gotta remember that, that is a color flyer. You're gonna have to print it in black and white if you take it in, because a lot of times they won't allow you to have color.
Yes.
Nothing with staples, because we can't be having tattoos.
Go ahead, Angie.
Sorry, I started to say they do have counselors in jail, so I don't know if there's a way to connect with them to get the information more available to inmates, as opposed to them having to use tablets to reach out. Because unfortunately, not everybody has access to tablets, especially on the opposite side of the jail. I know on the regional jail side, they, almost all the inmates have access to one-on-one tablets, but on the opposite side, that's like the waiting space for state inmates that are waiting to go on to prison. They don't have access to one-on-one tablets over there. So it's not always as easy as like, oh, pick up a tablet and message, and so I don't know if there's a way to maybe coordinate with counselors there to get that information more available to people, or to work with the counselors to get a program more available for people who are leaving. I know with recovery-based programs, you have the Recovery Resource Center where caseworkers will actually go in and work with people who are leaving to go to rehabs and that sort of thing. But when they're just getting out and they're not going to a program like that, they're just kind of like tossed out, and there's no actual plan for where they're going or what they're doing. So
yeah, I appreciate that feedback. I think that's great. Deb, go ahead. Did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, and actually, Angie kind of brought up the thing I was thinking, like there are people who are paid to do this who work for DCR. Part of, I think, what folks can do is urge those people to do their job and do some of these things. And the thing about getting the ID, if someone asks, why do they have to ask? Like, why would they not offer it? I don't understand.
I don't know if you've ever been involved in the jail system, but I actually spent some time there, and they do not offer anything unless you specifically go out of your way to ask for it. They're not going to readily give you anything. Trust that.
Yes.
And even with the counselors, you can, request a lot of different things. But if you're not persistent, you're not going to get what you need to be set up to leave there. And as far as the DRC goes, they're a recovery-based organization. So their primary goal is to work with individuals who are leaving there and moving on to like recovery-based programs, you know, such as like sober living or, you know, rehab facilities, that kind of thing. And most of those programs are court appointed. So if somebody doesn't have a court appointed program that they're set up with a case manager already through the court system to work with, you know, you're literally on your own, just tossed out, like figure it out. They just kind of look at it like it's not their problem once you leave there. And
Gotcha.
there aren't case workers that work at ERJ or any of those jails that are specifically set up to work with you to develop like a plan for afterwards, like what happens next kind of thing, you know? So I think it would be beneficial if we had some sort of process in place to help people who are leaving to really think about what comes next. You know, where are they going to live? You know, where are they going to go? And, you know, we're talking about jobs, but, you know, we have to think basic first. I mean, the most basic need is, you know, when you're looking at the hierarchy of needs, there is where are you going to go? And a lot of people end up walking out of there. They have no phone. They don't let them make a phone call to say, hey, come pick me up. I mean, if you don't have access to those sorts of things or a way to get a hold of somebody, you're literally walking out of the jail up the street to figure it out on your own. So it's just impossible at times for people who don't have people on the outside to figure those sort of things out for them, you know? So I don't know. I just feel like it would be really great if we could come up with some sort of plan or a committee or something to help people through that transition state.
I think, you know, and as Aaron said, you know, you may not even know when. You may all of a sudden, you know, your doors are open and you're free to go. Well,
Oh, that's absolutely true. I mean, you could go to
because-
court that morning and
Yeah.
they're like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're out, and you know, you have like an hour to figure it out, you know?
Well, and you know, and there's a lot of facilities that after you go to court, they won't transfer you back to the jail to pick up your items. And so you have to figure out how to go back. Do you leave them there? Or do you, you know, find a way back to the jail to go get your items? So.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I'm getting my floors done. So it sounds like a war is going on. So I apologize. Hopefully they look nice. This is why I believe in the Reentry Council. And I just wanted to thank you all so much for you participating in this, for you feeling the way that you feel, like the injustice. That's why I am so passionate about the Reentry Council and the like just justice reform in general, because there is a population that is thrown out to the wolves, even though they are looked at as the wolves. And so thank you all for being a part of this. We only have a couple minutes, and I'm really sorry about the banging. I wanted to talk about guest speakers. Sabrina, you had brought this up in the chat, and this was one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. The guest speakers that we need one for every month. I have a few for the next couple of months. We're looking for April onward. So if you are interested in talking about your organization, how your organization can be a benefit to the folks that are getting out, anything that would be useful for people on this call, please. Trisha had sent a docs spreadsheet. Please sign up and we can communicate. We can talk. I'd love to come and visit you at your organization. I'd love to come and hear Angie, absolutely, your own personal story. Last month I had a gentleman come on, really young guy, has never talked publicly before, but he got out of prison in January and he's doing it. Like he has he's just empowered to change his life, and he wants to share that with others. And so those are the stories that keep us kind of refreshed and reminded of this is why we do what we do, and this is why we stand up for who we stand up for, because there is that one person who can make a difference and who can talk about the troubles and the heartaches of what's going on in our justice system. And they're there for a reason, of course, but I firmly believe that the trials that we go through are so that we can speak about them later on the other side. So Angie, would love to have you please, our list doesn't show anyone sign up for that. I have them, I've spoken to them. If you can sign up like for, let's say April on, that would be wonderful. I would really, really appreciate that. And then we can kind of get together.
Okay.
The last thing,
Oh,
go ahead.
So if in that, this lists all of the councils. So Sabrina or whoever else, if you want to speak at more than one council, please put down, any and all that you would like to present at in whichever month. Because this is going to help the other councils. This will help Chelsea go, hey, what about this resource? And I like to have them. So this gets shared with all of the reentry council chairs so that you can say, Aaliyah and Rich, they spent most of last year, and Jeremy Dixon, they presented to every single council. So, sign up for multiple councils so that your resource information can be shared. And then like Chelsea said, the young man that spoke last month, I mean, he went over his time and he, and over our allotted hour, and he was just so passionate. And I want to remind everybody and challenge everybody that this table is for everyone. So if you have someone with lived experience, invite them to this table. I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk with them. So this is an inclusive area for them. So, all right.
And it's a way to participate, and it's a way to really understand what it looks like. Give the clear picture of what does this look like? What troubles are we going through? Is this humane? Like, yes, there's need for correction, but we find a lot of times that what is going on in our justice system is not humane, and so this isn't teaching somebody, this isn't reform. It's just, I can't even explain that, but you all understand that, and I appreciate it. So, yes. So from April onward, we do not have anyone. So Sabrina, if you want to sign up for April, sounds wonderful to me. The last thing I wanted to talk about.
Can you just tell me who you have signed up for the next few months? Who have you spoken to already? Since you already have people for the first few months, who are those people? That will also determine who wants to attend the meeting. So you kind of can highlight who you have next month. So then we know, so then we can go tell people like, hey, guess who's speaking next month? And then that will help you get some more people back on here. So I'd like to know who you have for the next few months.
I have a lawyer that's going to come. That's, this is more, she's also working in obviously the jail. So that is for February. And then we had, I was thinking there's an individual that we have in the community who is working with the family resource network. His name's Corey, and I also had spoken to him about that. So again, if you want to sign up for
yeah,
April,
so we want to try to get and maybe we here us attending the meeting now, we really want to have resources on here. So I want to present as a resource I can offer. So I want to come present so I can provide you all with a resource to pass on to people. So I think we'll have a lot, you can really amp up your attendance if we start providing resources, because then people are logging on. Well, I have to be able to get something from a meeting. For me to come on a meeting, and I'm just being honest, and everyone here, I have to be able to leave here with something that I didn't have before I came, because it's an hour of our time. So I think that I'm going to go pass out. I'm going to go speak to Telemon, and I'm going to say, hey, Telemon, can you get on there and sign up for a day? Because you guys have resources. So and I'm asking everyone else on the call today. So can you please go speak to someone who a service like Angie? I don't know anything about Epic. I would love to hear about, your program. I don't know anything about Aaliyah. Is that your name, Tanner, DRWV? I don't know anything about your program. So, I'm sitting on this call with everyone, and I would love to know what services you have so I can tell, my people about it. So if anything, everyone on this call today should sign up. We're on the meeting. We care about this. We really should have everyone on this call sign up on a slide. So, and if we don't, then shame on us, because, what are we doing? So
Jumping
yes,
off of
Chelsea,
that,
I'm
you
absolutely
mentioned-
going to sign up.
Jumping off of that, you mentioned that you were going to go talk to Telemon. I mean, is there information out there that talks about what the Reentry Council is that we could share with other community organizations to get people interested in speaking at these meetings?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that is, so I was actually just going to touch on that. That was the last thing I was going to touch on. We only have 10 minutes, so this is kind of brief. I'm loving our conversation. I appreciate everyone's input. So I was going to ask if, and that's kind of where the Facebook thing came from, or the email list. That's where that came from, to provide resources so you, as members of the reentry council, can go out, spread the word, and then come back with speakers, with resources, with community organizations, and then we can talk about that. So that's why I thought it was so important to do that. And I really think that that would be useful. But I also wanted to talk about different roles. Like, maybe we have meeting minutes and we get a summary of what we talked about. We talk about a lot in these things, and so that would be great. Maybe we have a sign-in sheet, which we do the email, your organization, your name. Community events, of course, we always kind of wrap up with what community events are going on, how can we help. There's the PIT meeting right now that's happening, and I've explained to Caroline that we were having our meeting at the exact same time, but events like that in the community that are single-handedly, you would be involved in making a change in Berkeley County. That's so important. So maybe we have an agenda, and if there are people that would like to sign up for roles and have ideas about the roles, like, please contact us. And so that's why I thought having communication throughout the month would be great. And if I haven't talked about a role and you think it would be useful, let's do that. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and please, please, please reach out to me, and we can, this is your meeting. Like, it's not anyone's in particular. Again, my screen is frozen, so I can't even type anything, and I'm not sure what's going on. Nan, do you think you can put my email in there?
Yes, you want your work email?
That's fine. Let's do that. Because it's
Okay.
it's not typing for me. I'm sorry, guys. But okay, meeting minutes afterwards, Angie. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you guys know what Toastmasters is, but I used to do Toastmasters, and we would have an agenda, we would have a meeting minutes, and it was just like a brief, and everyone that signed in with their email would get the meeting minutes, and then we would have an agenda. And so maybe like a week before our meeting, we would send out an agenda of the things that we're going to talk about that has time management, and we get enough allotted time, and then we get time for questions and answers at the end. So things like that, I think, can really change the trajectory of our meetings, and it not be so one person is talking and then the next, for an hour, and then we go over what's going on in the community. This is very much a participating group, and I want to involve everybody in those conversations. So I appreciate everyone. The PIT meeting is super important if you can do that. And does anyone else have any community events that are going on right now? Anything that's coming up by the next time we meet that they want to share in Berkeley County and Jefferson County?
I'm going to present on our initiative, but because that we will open before we meet again, I'm just going to make a little blurb here. The Recovery Village will be opening on February 3rd, 2025. We are currently accepting applications, and I'm screening people, and the bids are filling up. So the Recovery Village is a sober living WVAR certified community. So we're going to have someone going out into the jails and things like that to promote it and provide some information. My email address, I'm going to put it in the chat box. If you would like me to send you a link about how to refer someone and put a referral in, then you can absolutely reach out to me. It is not self-referral, it's only case manager referral. So a client cannot refer themselves. So please do not blast out the referral link that I provide to everyone. And if you email me, I'll send you a nice little email and tell you all about it with some more details.
And congratulations.
Excellent.
I'm so happy for you. You're where
Thank
you
you.
want to be, where you need to be, Sabrina.
Thank you. I'm really happy about it. We've been waiting and it's finally going to open. So
Yes, I can see it all over your smile. It just says 100 things, you know?
thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Is there any way we can support you February 3rd, Sabrina?
Just help me fill my bed so I have
Okay.
a job in a couple months.
Okay, excellent. Can we come out to your opening?
We're
Like,
gonna
is
have
that-
a soft opening. The soft opening is February 3rd, but I think after the cold weather, we're gonna do a grand opening. So as soon as we get that information, I'll send that out to everyone and welcome
Okay.
everyone out to join us.
Okay, Trisha, this is why I thought the email list would be, and if anyone has an idea, like if
I send all
there's-
my stuff to Trisha. It is we don't want to recreate the wheel. Don't give yourself more work. I love Facebook. I love the email list. We tried all that. And it's just, you have a million jobs you're trying to do. And then you're going to make yourself responsible for another job. Trisha can send everything out with the Reach initiative. You send her something, it goes out to everyone in the Reentry Council. So you have a resource anytime of the month, you need to get a message out there, send it to her. And that is like the quickest way to get it out there.
Yeah, and you know, just send it to me. Tell me, do you want it to go just to your council? Do you want it to go statewide? You know, because I have it divided by, you know, in that link I dropped, you can choose, do you want to join one reentry council? Do you want to join all of them? There's even a link on there for advocacy about the legislator things. So, you know, and this goes for anybody here. If you have something you want to go out onto the email blast and the listserv and on our social media, you just tell me, how do you want it? If you can send me a logo, a graphic, some kind of a picture, because we know if it's on Facebook or on social media, if there's nothing eye-catching, they're not going to read it. So send me whatever you want and where you want it sent out, and I'll send it. And I can even program it so that it will send it repeatedly. So, and then, you know, Chelsea, with the meeting minutes and the agendas, if you can get that to me a week prior to the next meeting, I will attach it to the reminders that go out. Kanawha County does that. That's one of the few that actually does the agenda and the meeting minutes. So he sends it to me the week prior to. When I have that meeting reminder, I attach it to that and build it into, so that your flyer looks a little bit different for that county. So it has everything in here.
Okay,
Chelsea
that's
and I are
perfect.
going to, go ahead. Oh, see,
Would
Chelsea and I are
anyone be
going to Charleston.
interested in doing the meeting minutes, and we can always switch off month to month if that's what you guys are interested in, but would anyone be interested in doing the meeting minutes or the agenda by any chance?
So, and here's something else, you know, these are being recorded and they go out onto our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel. So anybody that misses it can go back and watch it.
Okay.
So, but you know, as far as meeting minutes, that's up to you
There's
guys.
some AI tools. What is it? I always see it pop on. AI assistant. Some people use it. It will type the whole meeting out.
Some of them are paid
out.
though, that they'll do like a a trial subscription. So
Yeah. Chelsea
Okay.
and I are going to be going to Leading for Justice in 2025. We're going down this coming Monday, down to
you
Charleston.
guys in person.
Oh, you're going to be there?
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're coming down Monday.
Awesome.
They don't start till 5. So we're going to come down Monday and then stay Monday night and Tuesday night and come on Wednesday. We're staying at the Partridge, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you staying there at St. John the 23rd?
Huh?
Are you staying there at the facility at John the 23rd? I'm not staying since I'm only an hour away, but
Oh yeah. Because heck yeah, we're coming way across the mountain. Yeah. I hope it don't get snowy or anything, but yeah. Perfect. Well, we'll definitely see you there then.
I will come find
Exciting.
you.
All right, guys, I want to respect your time. It's 10:59. I thank you all so much. I think that this has been super productive. I appreciate everyone's feedback. Thank you for all of your different personalities and the different inputs that you have. And we'll meet again next month. In the meantime, please let me know if there's anything that we can be doing to make this more beneficial for your time. And until then, so we'll see each other next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.